Do I have your attention? 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 Do I have your attention?
Is you taking notes?
Alrighty, you guys, so let's go over the ingredients. So the first thing you're going to need to get is a box of Godiva's chocolate instant pudding. Now, if you want, you can get the milk chocolate, dark chocolate, or white chocolate. That's completely up to you. But to my knowledge, I think they have a variety of them. So all you're going to do for right now is just follow the instructions on the back, which is just add 2 cups of cold milk to the packet of instant pudding. Now, here on Simply Food by TY, yes, there's going to be plenty of recipes I'm going to make where it's going to seem like, you know, a really, really complicated dish, or it might be something where I'm showing you how to make everything completely from scratch. But there's also going to be recipes, you guys, where I'm going to show you how to take stuff that's already pre-made and turn it into something fabulous. It's going to have all of your friends thinking, honey, that you done put in a lot of work and you ain't do nothing. But now that, you know, you're starting to get this mixed up, the good thing about this instant pudding, you guys, is that it does not take long to thicken up. It really is only going to take about a half hour. But the one thing we're going to add to this, just to kick it up just a notch, so that we can add an added extra of creaminess, is a ½ cup of softened cream cheese. Now, by no means is this going to take on the texture of a cheesecake. Let me just be very clear about that right now. If you want it to be more like a cheesecake, you're going to have to add way more than that. But that's not really what we're going for here. We're not going for cheesecake. This is still going to have the consistency of pudding, but this cream cheese just adds a little bit of creaminess and it thickens it up just a tad bit more. But by no means, once again, will you even be able to honestly taste the cream cheese, because we're only putting in a ½ cup. So I know some of you guys are probably looking at this and thinking, that is a chunky mess. Don't worry, all of that is on purpose. Don't sit there trying to break your wrist trying to get all of that stuff to completely break down, because there's no point. It's not going to happen. What we're doing right now is we're just simply getting the cheesecake broken down into as small a bite pieces as possible, so that the natural sweetness from the pudding can just naturally sweeten up the cream cheese, because we're not adding any extra sugar to it. This is just the way I do it. Honestly, you could do it a little bit later on, but this is just the way I do it. So for right now, like I said, all you're doing is simply breaking up that cream cheese, so that as the pudding starts to thicken up, it's also going to be naturally sweetening up that cream cheese. At a later point, we're going to be using a hand mixer and we're going to completely smooth all of this out. So don't stress yourself out about that at all. But once again, this is one of those type of dishes, you guys, where by the time you're finished making this, your friends are going to think that you have spent all day making it. And honestly, this video might seem like a 10-minute long video. It took me maybe 5 minutes to make this recipe. It didn't take long at all. That's one of the best things about it. So what you're going to do is once you go on ahead and get that cream cheese mixed in, just brush down the sides just so that it can all kind of congeal together. Put some cling wrap over it, aluminum foil, you know, whatever you have. And then you're going to put this in your fridge, you guys, and let it sit for at least an hour. I know on the back of the box it'll say like 30 minutes, but I like to let it sit for an hour just to make sure that it's really, really, you know, nicely thickened. Then we're going to go on ahead and get our hand mixer, and now we're going to work on smoothing it out. So all of those lumps of the cream cheese from earlier that you were probably stressing out about, don't stress out about it, because now you'll be able to completely thin it out. Now, if you do not have a hand mixer, and if you are not a fan of cream cheese, you do not have to add it to it at all. I promise you, it won't taste any different. The only difference is that with the cream cheese, it just makes it slightly creamier and a little bit thicker. That's it. But flavor-wise, it's not adding anything. It's not taking anything away. So if you're not a fan of cream cheese, you do not have to add it. And especially if you don't have a hand mixer, like if you don't have anything to completely smooth it over, then just don't add it. You know, that's completely up to you. So now that you've smoothed it over, what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it up once again, and then you're going to pop it back in your fridge for roughly about 30 minutes. At this point, as you can see, it's nice and smooth and really thick, but that added 30 minutes, because we've kind of whipped it up a little bit, will kind of help to really settle it once again. So now that, you know, this has been in the fridge, you've let it rest, you let it get nice and cold, what you're going to do is you are going to get yourself little mini graham cracker pie shells. Now, these come, as you can see, 6 to a pack. They're so inexpensive. You can find them in the baking aisle. And all I did was I put the pudding mix into a little Ziploc bag, and now I'm just piping it directly into the pie shells. Y'all, this is the most complicated part. That's it. Like, it's not hard at all. Now, I'm not going to be making all 6 just because there's only 3 people in my house and I don't want to waste them all, but I wanted to show you that it does come 6 in a pack. Now, this recipe could easily make 12 of these, just so you guys know. So if you want to make this for a party, this recipe will easily make 12. So what we're adding in right now for garnish is, of course, some lovely fresh raspberries. If raspberries are not in season when you're making this, or if you're not a fan of raspberries, you can use whatever type of fruit you would like. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, you can use a mix. That's completely up to you. Totally fine. The next thing that I want to do is, you guys, I like to add little tiny, now don't get crazy, y'all, with this next step that I'm about to say. What I like to do is I add very tiny pinches of kosher salt. Now, the reason why I do that is because this is a very, very sweet dessert, and those little bites of saltiness kind of cuts it and it makes it way more pleasurable. That's just me. If you don't want to use the kosher salt, you don't have to. And then I add, of course, a little sprig of fresh mint because I just think it looks absolutely adorable. You guys, that's it. That's all there is to this. Baby, these little desserts look so beautiful when you line them up, put them on a serving tray. It's the perfect little individual dessert for whatever guest you have coming over to your house. It's so incredibly easy to make. You guys, anyone and everyone can make these, and trust me, they will be a hit. Look, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I hope you guys try out these Godiva chocolate pudding pies. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Simply Food by TY.